What is up, Watch fam? Happy Tuesday, and welcome to this week's episode of In the Metal. I am exhausted. We just recorded a bunch of videos. Red Teenage, Ask Teenage, Liquor Runs, collection reviews. God. Shit, I hate introductions. What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from it should be a Christmas theme. Everyone loves Christmas. Alright, this intro thing obviously isn't working for me today. I'll leave all the awesomeness to this week's watches. They've got plenty of awesomeness. What am I saying? Okay, let's start here, in one of the market's most undervalued corners, IWC. I think that IWC is one of the brands best poised to explode on the vintage market. And it's watches like this, an oversized, minty automatic that will be at the forefront. This beautiful model, which measures 36 millimeters in diameter and 44 millimeters lug to lug, has absolutely wonderful presence on the wrist. I mean, it almost seems like a modern watch. I've told you this before, but I'll tell you again. In the world of vintage Rolex, dials are king, and blue dials are just about at the top of that food chain. But taking this a step further, this dial isn't just blue. It's one of the rarest configurations out there. It's called radial. Its minute markers are abnormally elongated, which gives the entire dial an incredibly unique, unmistakable proportion. And to Rolex geeks like me, that is a big deal. While we're talking about rare dials, we'll dive into another, linen, because we have two, one by Omega and one by Rolex. Let's start with the DeVille. I think Omega is one of the strongest players in the vintage watch market, and their placement is incredibly interesting as well. In some of their model lines, they've held industry-shattering records, and yet in others, the DeVille for instance, their value is relatively unnoticed. And this example is just stunning. Its case is immaculate, and its dial is so rich with texture. It's everything you could possibly ask for in a linen dial. It's absolutely not something we come across often, so when we do, we've just got to savor it. Now let's pivot back into Rolex with this Datejust reference 1603. It was manufactured in 1973, and it legitimately is one of the best Datejusts we've ever had. And I'm not just saying that. Take a step back and look at the condition of the watch. Not only is it steel oyster case thick, but its original finishing throughout is evident. And look at that Jubilee bracelet. So often are they beaten, worn out, and stretched, but this example is as tight as it was when it came out of the factory. And the icing on this cake is that beautiful matching linen dial, accented by custard tritium on both of the hands and behind each hour marker. This is awesome to own. And finally, to change directions quite a bit, a tremendously funky Porsche Design chronograph. Powered by the Valjoux 7750, it's not directly affiliated with its Lejour and Heuer counterparts, but its style was championed by them. And the fact that that design was interesting enough, and the fact that it represented an era enough for the Porsche Design Studio itself to adopt this style is, at least to me, remarkable. Now, while we definitely just brought the heat with those 5 terrific vintage watches, I've got some more surprises for you. Yes, in addition to everything we just talked about, there are 3 extra bonus additions to the watch shop at theoandharris.com live right now. So go on and uncover them.